Real quick, if you have not finished mat testing, you have to do it during a study hall. Talk to Mrs. Bungard, talk to Mrs. Newberger, or talk to Mrs. Haig. They'll hook you up so you can finish that this week. Okay? Alright, Taylor, make sure you grab a calculator. You'll need one.
I'm just gonna borrow your pencil again.
What's this up, man? This is your future.
Not really. Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't feel.
I know. Here, come here. Let me put the numbers on a sticky note for you. I thought they would show up a lot better than they did.
Wednesday.
That's because I'm doing better than this year. I have your GPA.
Forgot about the
I
lake.
look at it every day.
That's all I've been thinking about all year.
Mine's C. And then it'd be mine.
Like, it's okay because
When you sign your
on the beach.
sheet of
I
paper,
forgot.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, that's not fun.
Wednesday.
Because it's like, I want to get
Lives by the beach.
Yeah, but then if you get it early, everyone else is gonna want it early.
No, he isn't late.
I just feel like I need 3 years.
What number is this one?
That's the first one.
I looked at her college.
Alright, everyone else have your notes out. All you get done.
Like dead.
Worry about this spreadsheet.
You're playing it too much. Just become a
She was on like a and she was and they were trying to
I'll just make a shoot.
and she was trying to like and she like sprayed them with like the white and then she burst it. She burned one like and it melted onto
It's not that hard.
Watch the video.
she's like the hitter.
No.
That shit
Look
burned.
it up on you. There's something on the X. 10 hours long.
She calls him Sandflies. I'm like, they're all Sandflies.
Well, just open one.
No one calls them that. She can't sit with
Okay, alright, everyone else. You need to have your notes out. We're going to talk about area and volume here today. Really more or less area. Now, if you haven't checked the board here, okay, seniors, I know that they're going to be done the next couple days here, but for everyone else, book checks for you guys. I know you did a book check last week. I want to check in your books on Friday this week. So keep that in mind. This Friday, you're checking in books. That means that all late work that's due for me is due by Friday this week. I will not take any late work if you have anything missing in the grade book by then. I will not accept it after Friday for any book assignment. Because the stuff we're going into, this construction stuff, is not in your textbook. So you need to take notes. That's why I provided you paper today. I will check these throughout the week. So, like these first 3 constructions, I'm going to check your piece of paper that you have in front of you at random points this week so you cannot lose it. If you lose it, you're going to have to go back and do them all over by yourself. I would not want to do that, especially in these later ones that we're going to get. They're so hard that you won't be able to figure them out and you lost all your points. So, you need to make sure that you're taking very detailed notes of the stuff we're doing this week, and you're keeping track of this piece of paper with your name on it. What I've had in the past, people just left them here so that they can continue the next day so that they don't lose it, because I'm checking these during the week. Now, what constructions are, because I haven't explained this, we're going to be learning how to draw very specific types of pictures, using a compass and a straight edge. So talking about how to draw a rectangle, how to draw a square, how to draw very detailed drawings with circles and triangles inscribed in them, or quad inscribed in them. We're going to be learning very detailed pictures and properties about them using this stuff. This is only a start. We're going to do 3 today. My goal is to do 3 tomorrow, 3 the next day. Like, we're doing 3 each day. And then eventually this week, once we get to like number 9 or 10, I'll check your constructions and see how you've done. So and I'll give you points for every 3. So like these first 3, I usually consider these 3 to be worth 10 points total. Okay? The later one is the more difficult one. The first ones are kind of easy. And then the later sections, the points vary. But these are pretty easy, so it's 10 points today. So it's kind of like one of those things that you need to keep track of and hold on to. Let's talk about what these constructions are. So let me, so that way you at least have a detailed idea of like what we're getting ourselves into, like what we're gonna be learning here today. The goal today is to, number one, learn how to copy a line segment, which is something you probably already know how to do. We've done it before. But construction number one is we're going to copy a line segment. So if you don't know what I'm trying to explain there is if I draw a line segment on your paper, can you copy it somewhere else on your paper without actually using a ruler? Like the exact length of it. Because obviously you don't have rulers in front of you. I'll give you a compass and a straight edge here in a minute. This is probably one of the easiest constructions. It's one of the first ones they teach in drafting if you've ever taken that. After we're done with construction number one, we're going to move on. We're going to copy an angle then. So construction number two. We're going to copy an angle. This is the one that for some people can be kind of difficult depending on what the type of angle that you draw, because it's kind of a free-for-all. You could have obtuse, you can have right, you could have acute angles, but we can copy them to a different location on your paper. They could face any direction you want, as long as you follow the rules. And then number three, construction number three, is to draw a perpendicular. Now this is the one where I'm going a little bit out of order, because these three fit together to make like rectangles and triangles and squares, and like the basic polygons, like these three are very good for that. This number three usually in your textbook doesn't come until later. It's like a later construction. I say that we're outside the textbook because we are, because these constructions are thrown throughout the chapters. Like very randomly at the very end of a chapter they say it's like an extra lab activity. They're not in order, they're just like scattered. And so what I do is at the end of the units, I always like to throw these all together, kind of putting them in an order that makes sense for you guys. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So construction number three is to draw a perpendicular line. Draw a perpendicular line. Now tomorrow we're going to learn the different types of perpendiculars. This is the first one, it's the most basic one that we have. But we're going to learn on how to put a perpendicular in a very specific spot tomorrow, how to do a perpendicular from a point that's not on it. So that's the stuff we're going to learn tomorrow. And then tomorrow we're also going to talk about parallel lines. So like tomorrow's stuff really kind of goes hand in hand with these three. So we have 3 today, 3 tomorrow. And then the next couple days after that, then we get really in depth. We start mixing these together in the middle of other particular constructions. And the goal is to get to about 9 of them, 10 of them usually. The later ones get kind of difficult and you'll see them as we go. But this is kind of our goal today. And then after we're done with these, after we learn these 3 today, I want to talk about how to do area of squares and rectangles. And show you kind of how we can mix this stuff in and you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, questions, comments about what we're doing today? Okay, does everyone have their little white piece of paper? This is the piece of paper you're going to want to hold on to, so keep your name on it. If you want to leave it here today, I'll put it up here and I'll hold on to it until tomorrow, and then I'll hand it back. And we'll just keep adding more to this, so each day you might get more paper and we'll just staple them all together eventually, and I'll just grade it that way. Does that make sense? That way, it's an easy way to do homework so you don't have to take it home. But what we need today, we need straight edges, so let me hand these out.
Wait, so do we write all notes today on this white
Yeah, you're gonna write it on this white paper. So you can use both sides of it, doesn't matter. We're gonna take multiple tries at a couple of these.
Are we supposed to pass them back?
What?
No.
No. Oh wait, did I give you 3? I didn't realize how many I just gave you. Okay, everyone got one? Excellent, alright. Now, the straight edges, I will take those back here in a minute, or at the end of today, just to make sure that we have them. Okay, compass, the geometric compass. Be careful, don't like dump this out on your desk. Be very careful how you pull them out, because there is like pieces in there. They have extra lead, they have extra gears and linkages and stuff in there, so just keep track of those. If you have one that the lead isn't quite right, like it's not there, it's missing, let me know. It's a pretty easy fix, because some of these have extra lead in them, they have extra pouches, that's why I don't want you to dump it all out in your desk. If your compass isn't working, I'll explain maybe a little bit how to use it a little bit better. And it's kind of more hands-on today, so hopefully that'll be a little more entertaining for you here. Alright, now, on your compass themselves, remember, lead, okay, I'll fix it here in a second. Don't pull it apart, use the little gear in the middle that opens it up. It only goes out to a certain point before we have issues.
Like, it just doesn't work anymore, or?
Alright. Okay, if you have problems with the lead, just let me know, I can fix it.
My legs are not all the way out, but it's not.
Can't like
Did you get that?
I can flip this one. Soaps.
Okay, anyone else have a problem?
They trying to fix it.
Like, I'm trying to like this.
I'm kidding. We're going to stay.
Yeah, but it like flips over, but it won't do it this way.
There was this kid, these kids, right? And then it's like, oh, man, you're not doing this.
See if I turn it around.
Alright, anyone else have a problem?
Yeah.
Okay, with the lead? Yeah, lead is always the tricky one on these.
It's pretty fun. I can't tell. I mean, I just assume it's fun.
I don't know, I feel like this is dangerous.
I'm just not saying anything.
Just a little bit. In grafting, there's ones that are like, just like both sides are this,
We good?
but it's like bigger.
Okay, the lead doesn't have to be too big, hopefully that doesn't fall all the way now. Okay.
One is
All right.
No, she.
It's not cool.
Okay, everyone's got it? Okay, perfect. Here's what you need to do first. Okay, for the first construction, we're gonna start with the first one only. What I'd like you to do, take your straight edge only, just take that out. So I'm gonna use my straight edge. And I'd like you to draw a line segment somewhere in your paper down below. So we'll call this construction number 1, so C number 1. What I'd like you to do is on your paper just somewhere, draw a line segment. You can put it down below. It can be of any length, it doesn't really matter. Don't make it like incredibly long, don't make it incredibly short either. Just use your straight edge, make it very straight. Mine doesn't look that very good. Alright. This will work. Let's call this A and B. Okay, now what we talked about earlier was on segments, like because that's what you're supposed to be drawing, a line segment, right? It has 2 endpoints. Remember the notation of this from day 1 in here, you write the 2 letters and you put a little bar above it, right? That was the construction we've done previously. That's the notation we've used. What we're going to learn how to do is to copy this stick to a different location on your paper. It can be anywhere you want. It'll be the exact same length, and we're not using rulers. So, because I know, like if you had a ruler, find any. You just measure it at so many centimeters, so many inches, and you can copy it to a new spot. The problem is that I have with rulers and the metric system or the U.S. customary system is they're not really accurate. What I mean by that is that there's a lot of gaps on a ruler itself. There's like a lot of space. I want to be as exact as possible. That's why you have a compass in front of you. The compass in straight edge is far more accurate than a straight edge, or than a ruler, I should say. So copy this to a new location. Here's what I'd like you to do. So go somewhere else in your paper now. This is the second step you're going to do. Go somewhere else in your paper, and you need to draw a line segment that is clearly longer than that one. Okay? It has to be clearly longer than AB, the one that you've already drawn.
Where do I put it?
Anywhere you like.
Well, I like.
So I'm going to put mine here. This looks pretty. And it's clearly longer than the other one.
They were close to me. Like we thought we were awesome.
Okay. All right. Now, On your construction, on one of the sides of that segment, I don't care where, let's label one of the endpoints, let's call it C. You only have to do one of them, don't do the other side, just do one side, call it C. I don't even know where you put it, maybe you even attached it to the other one for all I care, it doesn't really matter. Alright, so now what you're going to do, you're going to take your compass, pick it up. Now use the little gear in the middle, and you want to, so here's my crude example of yours. You're going to use the little gear in the middle, open it up until it's perfectly this size. So like the pike is on A, the pencil's on B. Now, the lead doesn't have to be super sharp. It doesn't have to be. It just has to be light enough that you can make the mark. That's why I said I didn't want your line segment to be too long. Because this compass can only open up so far before, number one, you either A, break it, or it can't reach the end of the endpoint of the line you've drawn anyway. So you're just going to make that measurement of how long it is. So I'm going to try to draw mine a little more accurate than I usually would, just so you can see this. Like my marker works, I haven't tested this marker for a while. Alright, so I'm going to measure how long it is. So the pike is on A, the pencil's on B, and then you're going to go over here, and you're going to put the pike on letter C, now that I have this measured. So I measured this perfectly. Come over here and put the little pike on C, and make the little mark down the road. It actually worked. Alright, I didn't realize I have to use this marker forever. Again, how I just did that. I measured A and B, I went over here, put the little pike on C, the endpoint that you've labeled, and I make my little mark. Now why you're doing that is because you don't need this excess piece. Now you don't need to erase it. Don't erase the excess. What I usually do is I just scribble it out with a pencil, like it's not needed. For me, since I'm using a marker board, I can make it a dashed line. But just scribble it out, the excess piece. And then what you're going to do is you're going to label the spot right where it crossed. You're going to label this location, that where you just made your little mark. Label that point D. Point D. Okay, is everyone still following with me? Anyone struggling? Because I put you in pod state so you can help each other out. It's kind of nice when you're like, you didn't quite get a step, you want to see somebody else do it, they can help each other out. This first one's kind of easy, I know, but you're missing anything. Okay, now, what we just did, we just made a line segment, CB, right? They're the same size. They're the exact same size, or they at least should be. So if you were to like compare it from one to the other. Now, why this is important? You can copy segments anywhere you want it. I know some of you even ask, like, where do I need to put it? You can put it anywhere. So this is like a perfect strategy for how you can make, like this is the start of how you can make a perfect rectangle or a perfect square. Because now you can copy these segments into certain locations so that all the walls are the same size. So now you're starting to see like the start of like how architects actually make a blueprint. They have, straight edge, they have compass, and they can make very detailed drawings really quickly to make very square rooms. So the rooms are perfect. They don't even have to be like perfectly on the paper anywhere, but you can make them perfectly square without having any lines. That's why I give you paper that didn't have lines. The lines really messes with people sometimes when you start doing these constructions. Okay, we're good though? Okay, that's the first one. We're going to use this one later, so don't feel like we're just one and done and we're not coming back to it. We need to use this when we start drawing squares and rectangles later. So keep that one in mind. It's very straightforward, very easy. We're good though with the steps. Draw it, copy with the compass, draw a new line, make your mark, label it.
That's mine.
Okay, let's go to construction number 2 now. Hopefully everyone's good so far. Construction number 2. Okay, now we're going to draw an angle. We're going to copy an angle to a new location. So construction number 2, we're going to copy an angle. What I'd like you to do, take your straight edge on your paper. And now this has to be very specific today anyway. We'll practice this one more tomorrow as well. On this next one, we're going to copy an angle. I need you to draw an acute angle, something less than 90 degrees. So take your straight edge. You can draw your angle anywhere you want. And when you draw your angle, make sure that the actual rays of your angle are decently long. Don't make it so short that it's impossible to draw on it. Okay, so here's my angle, like that. It's got a decent length to the rays. It doesn't actually matter how long the rays are, the angle's still the same. The angle's right where the vertex is sitting. Let's call this angle EFG. Again, how you name angles, since this is a simple angle, you could just call it angle F. But I usually use the 3-letter system, so I call it EFG. That was, going back to day 1, we've talked about that, how to name angles, use 3 letters, the vertex has to be the middle letter, where the F is sitting. The rays, like the actual sides of your angle are EF and FG, this is the rays. Okay, we're going to copy this angle to a new location. Now this is the other piece we need to learn how to do, is can we copy angles efficiently to new locations so that maybe when we're making a picture, all the angles in the corners are all the same. So if we can get a 90-degree angle, can we copy it to new spots? Okay, that's what we're going to learn how to do. This is by far definitely more tricky than the first one, how to copy angles. The first one's kind of mindlessly easy. Does everyone have the setup? Everyone has their angle? Okay, now on this next one, you definitely need to find a spot on the paper where you have a lot of room to work. Don't because I'm going to say to draw a line, don't put the line like over here. Because I need to draw it like above it, and if the edge of your paper gets in the way, you can't finish it. So just be careful where you're going to put this line. So for me, I'm going to have to put it like here, so I can draw above the line. So you need some space above this one. Okay, so take your straight edge, and again, we're going to try to copy that angle to a new location. Find a space in your paper where you have room above it to work. And I need you to draw a ray. So we're going to draw a ray with an endpoint. I'm going to call this endpoint the letter I. Put an arrow going the one way. And it doesn't even have to face the same direction as the other one. Like I'm putting my angle on different locations, facing a different direction, that type of thing. You can even have it face backwards. That just gets really tricky. It's hard for people to follow when I have it face different directions. But remember, you need room above it to draw. So don't put it in a weird location at the top of your paper. Because it'll get sloppy, it'll start overlapping or it'll be off the paper and then you'll be crying you can't do it. Okay, we're good? Alright. Everyone, take your compass out. Now this is the weird part. You can open up your compass any size you want. So for my compass, I'm going to open up, yay big, that looks good. Looks great. Yay big. It doesn't really matter how big it is. Just don't make it like crazy. Right? So here's what I mean. When you put it, I want you to put a little pikey end on letter F. That should be your vertex, right? What you need to be able to do is open up your compass in such a way that when you draw an arc, draw like a kind of a part of a circle, it needs to be able to hit both walls. It doesn't have to hit E or G at all. That's why it's random. Like I don't even know how big this was. I just opened up random. And I'm going to draw my arc so that it hits both walls like this. Now when you do that, do not change your compass after you do this. You have to leave the compass exactly the same after you've drawn that arc. So again, how I did that, I put the little pike on F, I open up my compass at a random length, I don't even know what this is, and I drew an arc so it went through both walls. Okay, did everyone leave their compass alone after you did that?
Yes.
Did it hit both walls?
Yes.
Okay, it's gotta be important that it hit both. Okay, once you have that and you haven't done anything, pick up your compass, don't change it, leave it exactly the same. You're gonna go over to your new picture, the new line you've drawn, and you're gonna draw the same arc. Now what I mean by this arc, when you draw this, you need to make it so this arc is clearly longer than that one. What I always say is like this angle looks to me, it looks like it's like 60 degrees roughly. Right, that's kind of what it kind of looks like to me. You need to make this arc over here that's clearly more than 60. In fact, I'm gonna draw my arc so it looks like it's almost a 90-degree arc measure. Okay, I don't mean to go like way down here with it. Basically, I just need it to the point where it hits the wall that you've already drawn and it goes up clearly longer than that one. Like that. That's good. Yeah, these are good. I'm just going to walk around and make sure. And again, don't change your compass. Yeah, these look good. These look really good, actually. Let's go, boys. These look good. Yeah, good, 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 good. Good at following directions here today. These are good so far. Yeah, these are good. These are good. All right, good. We're all good right now. I'm impressed. I didn't have to have anyone fix anything. All right, so now. This is the point, now you've drawn your both arcs. Both of those arcs are exactly the same. This is the point, now we're about to change our compass.
Wow.
We're going to change your compass now. What you need to do is you need to put your compass here and here now, and remeasure it. So now we're changing the compass now that we've drawn both of our arcs. So I don't care about E and G. E and G could disappear for all I care, I don't need them anymore. But I do need the point where your original arc that you had drawn actually hit both walls. That's why I said you had to hit both walls. You need to change your compass so it's exactly that size. Basically what I call this, we're measuring the gap.
Oh, you know, this makes sense.
We're measuring the gap. Because we're basically measuring how big that arc was or how big the angle was. That's because your compass kind of looks like the angle now. That's basically what it's doing. But I'm putting the pike and the pencil right on those points of the arc. And what we're going to do is once you have that perfectly measured, you use the gear and you measure this perfectly like this, so it makes, you can hit both. Then you're going to be able to, we're going to pick this up and we're going to go over to the new picture and we're about to use it. But did everyone get this like efficiently measured? Okay, make sure, look at your neighbors, make sure that they're measuring that perfectly. Again, it should be able to touch both spots where my line are touching. Okay, when you have that, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pick up our compass. Now that you have this measured, we're gonna pick up our compass. We're gonna go over here to the new picture. You're gonna put the little pikey end down here, right where it hit your wall. And your pencil should float up here somewhere, right? That's what should happen. And you're gonna make your mark. So I'm gonna put the little pikey end right where it crossed. I'm gonna make my little mark on my paper like that. So X marks the spot. Again, how I did that? Because I measured over here, I measured how big that arc was. I went over here and I made my little mark. And again, I'm using this point of intersection, right where the arc hit, to make this. Now that you have that, all you have to do is draw your last line segment, your last ray. Okay, does anyone still need how I did that? Okay, I put my compass down, I made my little arc, and you're gonna draw your last ray going out to that location. You're gonna go from I straight out to this location here using your straight edge. Don't do what I just did, freehand it. Okay. Take your actual straight edge and draw the line perfectly from I out to there. This angle here should be perfectly matched with this one. They should be identical if you do this right now. Obviously I just freehand drew that last line, that's terrible. You can see it through. But they should be perfect. Again, how perfect? I mean, you should be able to take an actual protractor, and be able to actually measure that thing out and know it's about 55 degrees. This is about 55 degrees, almost exactly. So, like, they should be spot on. And why is this important? I could have put that angle anywhere I wanted. So when we start drawing boxes and triangles, we're going to be copying angles to new locations, turning them different directions, so that everything works out perfectly the right size. Okay, we good so far? And again, remember, we're going to try to put this all together tomorrow. Like today is like learning the constructions. Tomorrow is where we put it all together and we try to draw an actual picture with it, so we can see how well you did. Okay, we're good though? Okay, last construction of the day. This is the third and final construction. We're going to do a perpendicular line. So what I mean by that, we're going to draw a 90-degree angle, like perfectly a 90-degree without a protractor in front of us. Okay, we're just using a compass and a straight edge. But is everyone comfortable with constructions 1 and 2 so far?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, again, on the website, for me, I will add all the steps. If you need to remember what the steps were, I'll write them down, I'll type them out, so you can see what my steps were, how I remembered it. All right. Last construction of the day, construction number 3. We're going to try to draw a perpendicular angle. What I'd like you to do right now, number 1. Now, when you draw this, you need to have room above it. So I'm going to draw a line segment, but I need room above it. And you can label this, let's label this M and N. M and N.
Will we be drawing anything below this line?
No, not below it, I don't think. No, on this one we will draw below it. We will draw below it. So you need to put it kind of in the middle. Yeah, you're right. We will be drawing below this one a little bit. You're right. There is one part I do need to draw. On this construction, we'll have to go below it. Yeah, you're right.
started, Mitch? How much?
Yeah, because the other two are different. There's two other perpendicular ones. They have different structures. Okay, everyone got their line? Do you have room above it and below it? Just a little bit. It's not too much room. Okay, the goal here is to draw a perpendicular angle, a 90-degree angle to this thing. Like a perfect L, basically. And I can put it anywhere I want. I'm just going to show you the easiest way that I've learned how to do it the first way. Tomorrow we'll learn the other two. Okay, step one, take your compass. Okay, and everyone's got their line right. Take your compass. You need to put the little pike on letter N. The pike on letter N. You're going to open up your compass random, but it has to be past the point where you think is the halfway marker. So like visually, to me, the halfway point is like right here for me. That's kind of what looks about halfway-ish. You need to open up your compass so it's clearly past that. Alright. So I'm going clearly past the halfway point. You don't have to go all the way, you can go, so it's clearly past it. Okay, I'm definitely past the halfway point. What you're gonna do is you're gonna make an arc above. Wow, my marker is dying. Let me pick a new marker here. Figure that one. Figuring that one's about to go. Alright. Okay. So I got my compass, you're gonna make your arc going above, and you're gonna make your arc going below. Got it? Now you didn't have to draw those arcs that large. I'm just showing you that's the easiest way to do it. Just drag it across your paper. Now, don't change your compass after you do this. Leave it exactly the same. Don't mess with the gear, don't do anything, okay? So you drew your arc above and below. And again, that was random. It was just past the halfway point. Now, does everyone have their first arc drawn?
Yes.
All four.
Okay. Flip it over without changing the compass. Go from the other end point now. So I'm going to put the little pike on letter N and do the exact same thing. Go above and below. And they should cross kind of up and, above and below it. Kind of looks like the Jesus fish a little bit. Okay. Got it? All right, where the two X's meet, X marks the spot, draw a line that connects your two X's together. So I'm going to draw a line that connects both X's above and below, so right through the middle of our fish.
I want to thank you, man. Oh, that was pretty awesome.
Boom. Terrible line. Deal with it. This line is perfectly at a 90-degree angle. Again, it's very weird. Yeah, I didn't see a clever way to do it. Put your straight edge. You can take your little straight edge and put it right here, and it does fit. So it fits like a perfect L shape. Like it fits perfectly in there. The other way to do it, you can put it on the corner. Like you can take a corner of your paper and kind of push it up in there, and it actually works out perfectly. It is a perfect 90-degree. And here's the crazy part about the way that we just did this construction. Okay, it's a perfect 90, but here's the other thing. This spot, let's call it point P right here. It's the perfect middle of that stick. We actually just bisected MN as well. We cut MN in half. So it's kind of a weird construction that it always works out that way. I kind of like it, but it is 90 degrees. Now what we can do with that, knowing that you can make a 90 degree anywhere you want, I can now copy that angle to different locations on my paper using construction 2. So if you're trying to draw like a perfect rectangle, now you know how to draw right angles. You can like put them off to the side in the corner of your paper, and you can copy that angle to a new location. So you can make a perfect box where it's got perfect 90s in the corners and all that. And that's what we're going to be doing the next couple days. So we're going to try to draw constructions where we draw like very detailed drawings where everything works out perfect. Okay, now the goal is, this is what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to try to put all three of these together to actually do a construction. And I'll teach you different ways to do the perpendicular tomorrow so it actually works out. And how to draw parallels, so that's another way you can do it. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Question?
Your pencil around the lead.
So, you steal my pencil?
You
You come into a test without a pencil?
I bet you didn't know about
I
it.
told you that I was gonna borrow it, and you're like, okay.
Not my fault I ran out of lead. Bring one.
I know.
Alright, let's talk about area rectangles and squares. So tomorrow we're gonna be doing construction. So this, just draw a rectangle or a square somewhere on the side of your paper. Okay, you don't need to draw it detailed right now, just put a square off to the side or a rectangle off to the side. How you find area, and we're gonna look at this more tomorrow to make sure that it actually does work. How you do this, you take the length, this is the length, you take the width, and it actually doesn't even matter which one's length and width. I don't care if you had length and width labeled like that, or if you switched them around, you put the width over here and length, that looks terrible, but let's call this the length, width, you just multiply the two together. So to find area of a room, you take length times width, right, the two numbers, whatever it is. So if you had a ruler, we could actually measure the length of the walls, and we could actually figure that out. So that'd be the only thing where a ruler actually does come in useful. So you can actually scale it up. Now what area stands for the number of square units in an object. So if you look at the floor in this room, there's like perfect square tiles on the floor. It's how many square tiles are in a room. So you could count. I think there's more than 1,000 in the room. The room itself has like, I think there's about 20-ish going this way, there's about 35 going that way. There's a lot. And that's ballparking. There could be 30 going this way and 40 going that way for all I know. There's a lot. I think the last count that I did, it was somewhere over 1,000, or it was really close to it. Like, it doesn't look that way, but it is deceiving. There's a lot of tiles in this room. It's very, very large. Because these are not perfectly 1-foot tiles. They're like 9 inches, I think. But again, what area is how many square tiles are in the room itself. Okay, it's different than perimeter, right? Perimeter, you just set up the walls. We're not doing that. Okay, tomorrow we're going to do it for the picture we're going to draw. Does that make sense, the first one? Okay, we're done for the day. I would like you to take your compasses, put them back in the little pouch that you had. Try to close the flap. If you'd like to put your straight edge, just slide it into the pouch itself. It doesn't even have, the flap doesn't even have to close. Just slide the straight edge that you have, that black straight edge, put it right into the pouch with your compass. That'll help out for the next couple of classes. It'll make it easier to hand out tools. Alright, we're done for the day. Remember, this week we're going to practice this more and more, different types of construction.
I gotta do